I use AI every day for client work, writing, research, visuals, automations, and the tools are constantly changing. But the habits that make AI actually useful don't change. Most people's problem isn't that AI is bad, it's that they're using it in a way that guarantees average results. So in this video, I'm going to walk through 6 habits that if you do, you're going to get better answers, faster outputs, and way less frustration, regardless of what model you're using or what changes happen. You'll also get better at moving from just using ChatGPT to using other tools confidently. I'll keep it simple and practical, so let's dive in. Okay, so these are 6 AI habits that stay useful no matter what model you're using, no matter how good AI gets, or no matter how it changes. This is not theory. This is what makes AI work in real life. So tip number 1 is pretty boring, but it's also like the one that makes everything else easier. It kind of goes without saying, but if you use it every day, not for huge projects, but just for like tiny little experiments, you get comfortable. And comfortable is what makes you start to try new tools, not just ChatGPT or Gemini. So for example, you can just ask it to rewrite one paragraph for you. You can ask it to summarize a document. You can ask it to brainstorm 10 ideas. I'm sure many of you have already been doing that. But the more you do it, the more you try it, the more it becomes sort of integral to what you're doing every day, the more that becomes kind of a habit. And whenever you encounter a problem, you start to just kind of go, I wonder if AI has some insight on that. And then if you want to kind of monitor your progress here, you can just keep like a little notebook that is just like 1 line per day. And so over time, that's how you're going to notice progress, and you're going to see how simply you were using it before and how you're kind of slowly getting better. Okay, so next, here's a kind of mindset shift that sort of instantly makes your answers better. So if you talk to it like a smart person that you're collaborating with and not just like a computer or a calculator, that's where you're going to get much, much more sophisticated answers. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, made a distinction between how older people use AI, which is kind of like Google, which is just kind of a question answer machine, which spits out generic answers, and how younger people use AI, who instead of just giving it one sentence, kind of explain the messy context, ramble everything about the situation off the top of their head. And a little bonus point is that you can give it a role sometimes. So like you can say, act like a copywriter or act like a project manager. And that's going to make it focus on a subset of its knowledge and really hone in on that and give you much more answers with expertise. That kind of follows on to the most important point, I think, here, which is context. So basically, the more context you give it, the better the output, right? AI is not a mind reader. It's a pattern matcher. So you have to feed it the right patterns, right? You can paste examples of what you like. You can give it research that's relevant to the topic or relevant to the problem that you're trying to solve. You can upload documents. You can explain constraints, like I want to solve this problem for this audience, or I'm working with this brand, or I need it in this time, or it's for this budget. If you're missing knowledge, do some quick research first. Use AI to research first and then plug that into your prompt. Another bonus point is to say what the output should look like. So should it be bullet points? Should it be a checklist? Should it be a table? Should it be paragraphs? Whatever you need. And if you don't know what context is missing, make it ask you. And that leads on to the next tip. So if you ask AI to ask you questions before it answers your initial prompt, it can help you find the gaps where you didn't realize there were gaps, right? So better inputs, better outputs, just like with context. What I often find is if I ask ChatGPT to just ask me 5 follow-up questions or 3 follow-up questions, it will often find gaps in my knowledge or gaps in the context that I tried to provide it, so that in the end, the following output will be much better, much more informed. And it will make you realize, oh, yeah, I should have thought of that. And you actually learn by doing that as well. Another sentence that you can just say is, before you continue, what information do you need from me to do this properly? You can also ask it to challenge you. Like you can say, what am I assuming that might be wrong? Now that we've got better context, here's how to level up prompts without being a prompt nerd. So AI can be your prompt engineer. There are all these guys on the internet selling prompt packs, but guess who the best prompt writer is in the world? AI. It understands exactly what is required for a good prompt. And you can get much clearer, more controllable results by letting the AI structure the prompt for you. So, you could start off just with a couple of sentences with as much context as possible. And then just say, improve this prompt for this task. Or give me a prompt for this tool that gets this result with these constraints. This is especially powerful when you're using other AI tools. For example, image and video generators. You can ask it to write a prompt for an image generator and get it to tell you what kind of lighting it should have, what sort of composition, the style, the camera, the mood. And it has a vocabulary that you might not know when talking about images or design. Then you can look over the details of the prompt that it gives you back and see all of the stuff that it's written. And you can decide, oh, yes, I hadn't thought of that. Or no, this bit needs to change. But it just helps your own thought process as well. And then in the end, when you feed that into the external AI tool, like an image generator, the results end up being much better and you've exercised a great deal more control over it. Another little tip here is you can ask for like a negative list. What should it avoid? So that kind of reduces weird outputs and reduces creativity where you don't want it. The last point, this is what people often don't do. And then they think that AI just doesn't work and they give up. And that's just iterate. AI is a back and forth process. You need to think about it again in terms of if it were a human. If you had a junior employee and you asked them to do this particular task, and then they go off and come back to you with their interpretation of what that output should look like, you kind of go, actually, no, could you fix this? And can you change that? And then they go off again and then come back to you and it's better. And you keep going on through that process like that. And the magic comes from the feedback loops and you just get a gradually more and more refined output and eventually you're happy with it. So don't just try a single sentence prompt and then when it gives you a generic answer, you go, oh, well, AI doesn't work. No good. This is all hype. Let's forget it. So just keep iterating. That works with images and videos, making web apps, everything. And for anything really important, verify it. So ask it to cite sources, double check it yourself, or use another model to double check its work, especially for really sensitive stuff. And you're not sure if it's hallucinating or something like that. You can send it off to like Gemini or Claude or whatever and say, can you fact check this for me? Okay, so that's the 6 prompts. And here's where to go if you would like to continue getting like tips and tricks from me. About once a week, I just share whatever's going on or whatever I've found fascinating. I try to give practical tips to my community. So please feel free to join and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Cheers.